So first of all, I just want to say thank you to our panelists that decided to give their knowledge on today. And we are so excited to just discuss more about scholarships and grant funding because it's such a huge, important component of student success. So I'll introduce myself. I'm Mia Edgerton Fulton. I am the co-founder of Scholarly Scouts and a biomedical sciences PhD candidate at Medical University of South Carolina.
And my name is Donald Fulton. I'm also co-founder of Scholarly Scouts, and I'm a clinical research manager at Rowan University. And we would like to thank all of you for coming to find out this vital information regarding scholarships and funding. So I think we should just jump straight right into it. So our first question is going to be just, well, first of all, I want everybody to give a brief introduction of yourself, including your education background. We're going to start with Dr. Ergul, and then we're going to go Alice, and then Hope.
All right. Well, thank you for inviting me. This is always nice, and it's so special that you guys started this. I'm very proud of you. Well, I am originally from Turkey, and I completed my medical degree, my MD degree in Turkey, followed by a residency in laboratory medicine. And then that's when I got the research bug in me and came to United States, to University of Miami for my PhD training. And I got my PhD in 1995, like ancient, in molecular biology, biochemistry and molecular biology from University of Miami. And then at that time, I entertained maybe going back to doing more clinical work and completing clinical training here. But research lured me. And so ever since 1995, since I graduated, and I had grant funding, but as a graduate student, since then, I've had continuous funding without any breaks since 1993. And so I haven't moved around much. I just worked at Medical University of South Carolina, went to Augusta for some time and came back to MUSC in 2018. And I'm so glad to be here.
Well,
I guess move to Alice then.
yeah, sure. So, my name is Alice. I'm currently a senior in high school. In South Carolina, I go to Wando High School. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I moved from Georgia, during middle school.
Hope, the floor is yours, honey.
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Hope Emanuel. I graduated from Valdosta High School, class of 2023, and I am a current freshman at Mercer University, majoring in law and public policy with the minor in Africana Studies, and I'm so excited to be here.
Well, thank you, ladies, for giving those lovely introductions of yourselves. And so I guess the second question that we wanted to really get into with you guys is how early did you guys kind of begin applying for scholarships and grant funding? So I guess like from Dr. Ergul's perspective, we'll start with what do you recommend when it comes to students applying for scholarships and grants, and how early should they begin thinking about those things?
I guess when you mean how early to start preparing an application, or
Yes,
how early
preparing.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of options, and I think I'll go at this two ways. One is there are different grants for different levels, right? High school, undergrad, and graduate or post-baccalaureate levels. So it's never late. I mean, looking into options, what options I have. And in addition to you applying for some of these options, like having your own, a lot of times institutions have training grants. And this is for like to have undergraduate students on campus in this during summer, or like have a post-bac training or training, you know, you're considering going to graduate school, but you feel like I'm not ready, I need to get more experience. So this type of funding is available through institutions. So I think about those. And once you apply to their program, I think they are competitive. These got to be on one of those training grants. So you still need to submit. I mean, you need to have credentials to be on those grants. And so going through that route is a little bit easier in the sense you're not going to put the application together, you know, together, but still do apply for a slot on those grants. And it's when you're interviewing at places, you know, I think you should ask what kind of training grants are available at that particular institution. We are very fortunate here to have a number like that covers a lot of levels, undergrad, graduate, and post-bac at MUSC. In terms of actually getting ready for, I think you should start the day you start thinking, oh, I should write a grant, right? How long I've been doing this, and I start 6 months. I mean, or sometimes you know, one time to renew one of my grants, I started a year and a half ago, you know, prior to actually it was time to submit one, because most likely you may not get it at the first round, right? You need to give yourself time to be able to renew it if you already have one, and you may need to do this a few cycles. But if for your first one, gosh, I mean, I can't emphasize, you never leave it to the last minute. I think Mia now is learning this, and everybody in the lab, in my group, or people I worked with have learned this. You go through 1,000 iterations of a grant proposal. And if you consider the scientific part of it, I think that takes a lot. But then there are so many additional documents that you need to prepare. I suggest making, if you were to apply for a grant, read it carefully and ask, you know, talk with people who have experience in this, research development offices at institutions, and make a list of everything that you need. A lot of grant applications, they come with a checklist. So some of these are for, like, if you're going to write a proposal, and some of this is, like I said, all these additional documents. So, and putting it all together at once, you know, like when it's crunch, you know, at the end, can be very overwhelming, and you're going to miss crucial things. The less mistakes you have, the more likely you're going to impress your reviewers or whoever are evaluating that proposal. Because sometimes there comes to a point, especially I think Mia has and other graduate students in the lab now, like there are not a lot of graduate students grant options. Like a lot of my students apply to American Heart Association, which it's the only one that allows international students. So suddenly you have like 10 applications in front of you. They're all comparable in terms of science or stuff, but then the reviewer, they lose it. I'm like, okay, how am I gonna? Because most likely only one or two of those applications will get funded or will be supported. So those little things, punctuation, your grammar, and the neatness, like all those things come into play. And for all those reasons, as early as possible. I mean, I don't know if that's helpful, but I do to this age.
Dr. Ergul, that was very wise words, and we were happy to hear that wisdom from you.
It was definitely thorough, because I know it takes a lot of time to get the grant right, but then you don't think about all the things that come, with that they also wanted. So, but passing it to Alice. So, what is your take on how early did you apply for scholarships in colleges, and how did you manage your time?
Yes. So for college, just like for essays in general, you could start writing down like the experiences you had throughout high school. So I know I started maybe mid junior year just writing down like what experiences I thought shaped me and if that would be helpful in writing an essay. Um, the actual like personal essay for Common Up, I started in I think September, pretty soon after the prompts came out. Just so you have enough time and like if you want to change something, you have time to do that. And yeah, for scholarships, they're always rolling. I know there's a lot of different types. So it's never really too early to start, I would say. So yeah.
To hear your perspective as well, since you won 1.2 million in scholarships during your senior year. So what was your process like?
So I began applying for scholarships in colleges in general, like the second week of senior year. But I started my footwork during that summer before. I started making sure I could get some really good recommendation letters, my ACT and SAT scores, my academic resume, and just like Alice was saying, I would keep up throughout high school, like the different programs that I was, thank you, that I was involved in. So by the time the scholarships like opened, all I had to do was fill it out. I didn't have to go and rush and try to write an essay or do any of that. So I started very early with the whole process in the summer before senior year. So, and also with essays, I didn't know if I was supposed to touch on that, but with essays, I wrote two essays, one like general essay and one personal essay. And I tweaked both essays depending on what the scholarships ask for or the colleges. So it's no need to write 15 essays. Get you two good essays and just tweak them and cater them to the different, scholarships. So.
Choosing your major and like how to, in college, whether, because I know you're already in college. I know Alice she's finna start soon.
And got an Ivy League acceptance to Columbia. So we do want to hear you guys' perspective about what led you to choose the universities that you're going to and currently attending. We can start with Hope. Sorry about that.
You're fine. So that's crazy because I got into 57 colleges and universities in total. So that was a lot of schools to choose from. So the school that I really wanted to go to, Seton Hall University in New Jersey, I was accepted into the 3+3 law program, where I would graduate a year early from law school and start taking law school classes my 4th year of my undergraduate. And so I really wanted to go, but it was really, really far. And I was like, this is my first time being away from home and my parents. And I think that's a little too far for me, especially because this is my first time being, away from them. And so that is when I got accepted into Mercer, and I got accepted into that same program at Mercer. So it was really a no-brainer for me to choose the safer option, which also gave me the same opportunity that it would so many hours away. So that's why I chose Mercer. Oh, I'm sorry. And the attorney I interned for my senior year, she's a Mercer Law School alum. So a lot of different connections I was able to get at Mercer rather than Seton Hall.
About building those connections even in the high school. So I know a lot of people think, building connections comes later. So that's great that you did that. So how about you, Alice? What led you to go ahead and apply and choose Columbia as your option?
Yeah, so I fell in love with Columbia like pretty late, I would say, in high school. I really only started to realize um that I wanted to go there, I guess the beginning of my senior year, because I visited the campus during the summer and I went on the tour and got to see inside all the buildings. And I really saw, or I learned about their programs and their curriculum. So they have a core curriculum where you're required to take like science, English, and social studies classes, I think, which I thought was going to be pretty cool because that would create like a better, well rounded understanding of everything for me. And I like the idea of that. Um, in terms of like going far away from home, I really liked New York City just because it was a big city and I wanted to experience that. And I thought college would be a good way to just kind of get a try of a big city. And if I didn't like it, I could go somewhere else. I did apply to Clemson just as a safety, um, but I felt that was too close to home. So that's why I ended up choosing Columbia.
So what resources did y'all did you use to submit successful like scholarship applications? Like how did y'all go about that?
We can start with Hope.
Okay, I'm glad about this question because I want to, where do I want to start? I guess I would say your high school guidance counselor. I know I was in her office 24/7. I was asking her for advice, just like different schools I should like look into if the money was worth it and all of that good stuff. So I think they're like best to help you with any type of question you have, especially with local scholarships because it comes through them and then they give it to the students. I would say online search engines, so like fast web scholarships, college board scholarships is the one that I forgot about, but it's all online. And then I was a part of the AVID program and the TRIO program throughout middle school and high school. So that definitely prepared me. AVID is just an in-school academic support program for students, and their main purpose is to prepare students for college success. So workshops, college tours, SAT, ACT prep, taking AP and IB classes. It wasn't a choice, but I got through it. Just really preparing us and making sure that we got to college and would continue to be successful through college. So that's what I did.
I guess Dr. Ergul, in terms of your perspective as a faculty member, what do you feel like are some good resources that people can use when they're applying for their scholarships or grants?
For I'm not that helpful with the scholarships, I'm afraid. But for the grants, I think a lot of schools where research is a big part of that institution, they have research development offices. They have a vice president for research. So their offices provide, like help you find grants, possibilities for you. And they would send, okay, this application is coming up, this institution, I mean, sometimes that I never know, I mean, foundation, it's not just federal grants. I mean, we have grants from the National Institutes of Health, NSF grants, National Science Foundation are big, I mean, not in biomedical sciences, but overall in sciences, of course. So they have, and then we have other grant opportunities that I never think of, like Department of, like DoD, Department of Defense, like Veterans Affairs. I mean, those sources, they also have grants for undergraduate, graduate. And I think Veterans Affairs also, they have scholarships, especially when you want to follow more like a medical training. They're one of our my past students, or she was a technician in the lab, but then who moved on to medical school and research. She is supported. She has an VA scholarship, for example, that covered pretty much everything of a medical school expenses. On this, like I said, you talking to the vice president for research, their office, and they can provide the links to specific grants, federal agencies or foundations, depending on what your interests are in research. I mean, of course, I'm talking on the biomedical side of things in general.
Dr. Ergul. And for Alice, in terms for you, well, did you use any resources when it came to submitting a successful application to Columbia? And did extracurricular kind of help you in terms of doing that?
Yeah, I definitely think extracurriculars played a big part in my essay because they kind of helped me, I guess, realize that applying to college isn't all about getting good grades and stats and stuff like that. So I play golf. So playing golf helped me kind of build resilience and persevere through challenges. And I wrote about that in my essay. Um, I think just in general, going out and maybe going to different volunteer activities could also help you gain a better perspective of yourself or whatever you want to write about. I did find that, like, whenever I got stuck on writing an essay, um, I would kind of go online and check and see other people's essays that they've written and see what I could take from that, and just see, like, what are their ideas that could give me. So I found that really helpful.
Not selected for like a scholarship or something that you applied for, and that can go even to an institution. I know that I'm assuming that you guys went to the first one, like your first choice, but how do you cope with that?
And we could start with you, Alice, and then go to Hope and then Dr. Ergul.
Yeah, sure. So I got really lucky because Columbia was my dream school, and I was really, honestly, really surprised when I got in. Um, but in terms of like rejection from other schools, it's really not, I wouldn't call it rejection. I know a lot of people call it like redirection because it's probably just not meant to be. And there's a ton of different programs out there that may be better suited to you. Um, and it's really hard to just figure out like right from the start what you're supposed to do. So it's not that big of a deal if you do get rejected.
I like this question because I applied. My dream school was Harvard, and I got waitlisted for Harvard, and there weren't enough spaces to then admit me. And so while I was happy, I was extremely sad. I was extremely upset, but I was just like, look at everything I've accomplished. That one minor thing, well, not minor, but that one thing it didn't deter me from what God had already had planned for me, basically. And I would just say stay persistent. Don't let one thing just set you back because, like my Abbott teacher said, she always said they have scholarships for left foot people, right handed people. They have scholarships for everything. So staying persistent and just keep going. I mean, it's a natural part of life. So I don't feel like that one thing should stop you because obviously it wasn't for you. And I feel like what is for you is for you. So, yeah,
Thank you,
stay
Hope.
encouraged.
That was beautiful. And all right, we'll get the wise words from Dr. Ergul before we close this out.
Well, I'm so impressed by you ladies. You're so mature. Sometimes it takes for many adults to come to that point in life so late in their lives. Yes, I think when I got into medical school, that's what I wanted to do. I never thought of anything else, as you know, at your age, and I was happy. And I, to this date, I'm happy with the choice I made at the time. Uh, you know, I think when you don't get something that you really want, I always try to put things into perspective. Yes, getting another grant is something, or getting a grant is something I need, or in academia, but I'm healthy. I am contributing to the science, with my given abilities. So I try to think of that, think of my family, think of especially my child immediately. You list your priorities, right? I mean, I have them. I'm healthy. I can go at this again. So yeah, I get upset, bummed. You take that review, put it in the drawer, and you don't want to see it for a few days. But then you start poking at yourself, right? Sometimes, okay, maybe I should have done this better. I could have explained this better. Then I think criticizing yourself in a good way, like to find, okay, what was the weakness? How can I make this better? That's how I look at it. We might get mad at them. Oh gosh, what was that reviewer thinking? What was that official thinking? But then again, oh, what could I have done better? That's the question I always ask to myself. Always, I think wise thing to do is always take time for yourselves in this crazy world. To run is not the way to live this life. This is how we should live this life, because you don't want to burn out. This is a long marathon. Life is a long marathon, and we need to make the most of it while we are leading a purposeful life and contributing to our society and to humanity. So just think of it. I mean, I'm like, okay, I've done this, I found that already. So I'll find something, else in the future. So take a deep breath and let it out and move on to the next.
Thank you, Dr. Ergul. And thank you, Alice and Hope. Everybody, all three of you guys did so lovely. And we really enjoyed and learned so much. Even I did. For our next webinar, we'll be talking about getting an academic postdoc. So we have someone coming from Harvard, and we have a postdoc from UNC Chapel Hill that will be there. And we thank you all for just coming and supporting Scholarly Scouts. I mean, this has just been amazing. Do you have anything you want to say, DJ?
I don't know. I mean, y'all just so brilliant. I'm so proud of all of you.
I know,
Like,
trying to make me cry. I'm like,
right.
hey.
It's just so much love and support, and I appreciate everyone
I-
for showing up.
And may I add that Alice was born in my lab. I mean, it's just so special for me
The
to
lab
be on the panel
grandchild.
with her. I'm thrilled.
Oh, well,
Thank
we
you.
are looking forward to next panel, and thank you everybody that came out to support. Be on the lookout for all the registration links, and we hope each and every one of you have a lovely evening and continue walking in your purpose and striving to have a purposeful life, which came from our wise words of Dr. Ergul. Thank you all, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Of
Thank
course.
you.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.